Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, International Carl, doing another video. I want to thank you for stopping by. I want to thank you for all the feedback. And I'm driving now down to London Heathrow. Going to take another trip. And I started to think to myself, what kind of video should I make? In this video, I'm going to talk about how I got to the UK, because I get this question a lot. Well, how did you come to the UK? What brought you to the UK? Etc., etc. So, well, you have to go back 10 years ago. So 10 years ago or more, I think it was it 2010? Yeah, 2010. 2009, 2010, I'm living in Italy. And it was time to leave Italy. And I didn't want to leave Italy. I was enjoying living in Europe. And given that I was living in Europe, I wanted to stay in Europe. So I applied for jobs all around Europe, and I applied for a job here in the UK, and I got an interview, and I got a job offer. You know, I'm not going to bore you with the whole story of that. But one thing I had to do to be able to come to the UK was, and this is before Brexit, this is before Nigel Farage was doing his goofball stuff, talking about take back control of immigration and the numbers and reducing that. Because the fact of the matter is, the immigration is more from outside of Europe than it is from inside of Europe. And that's always been the case. And I am case in point. The immigration system is a points-based system. I had to get something like 36 or 38 points. Don't quote me on that. If I can find it, I'll put it here on the screen. Should be on the screen now how many points I got. But that point-based system was about saying that, you know, you get points for speaking English. So if you come from America, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, etc., you automatically get these points, and it would tell you skip, you know, question 6 and 7. Where 6 and 7 could have been like, you know, you have to show that you can read and you can write and you can speak English, and you have to show a certificate. But then also you got points for how much money you were going to make. And so at the time, this is, you know, 10 years ago, but I had a salary of over like almost 60,000 pounds or something like that when I came into the country. And so I got points for that, for having a high salary. Apparently that was a high salary at the time. And it's pretty high for England. It's nothing in London, you know, but I mean, I say that, don't quote me, there'll be people in London giving me stuff, but people who live in England understand that if you live in London, 60,000 is still a good chunk of money, but it's not a lot down in London per se, where it goes a lot further the rest of the country. Well, anyways, I get points for that. And I remember another thing is I started playing with the system, like how many points do I have? So, you know, I put in my degree, my bachelor's degree. I got points for that. But then I didn't have enough points. Once I put in everything else, I didn't have enough points. Points for my age. I had to be a certain age. I got points for that. But then when I put in my master's degree, I have a master's degree, that put me over the top. And so then I had enough points. And then even though I was being sponsored by the company to come, I was on a tier 2 work visa, I believe it was. And that allowed me, that said that I had no access to public funds. I mean, I couldn't be on benefits or anything like that. Of course, I could use the NHS. Click here to watch videos where I break down why the NHS is the best healthcare system in the world. But it tied me to the company. So if I left that company, I had to leave the United Kingdom. I was stuck working for that company. And that allowed me to stay in the country. However, when I got, like I said, go back to this point, is that without my master's degree, I couldn't have come. Even though I was being sponsored by a tier 1, tier A level company, I wouldn't have been able to come in the country without my master's degree. Now, fast forward a couple months after doing that, one thing that we did as a workaround, because it took a long time to get my visa sorted, the company actually hired me as a contractor in North America. And then I flew immediately to Europe and started working out of Europe as a contractor from North America until my visa got sorted. I think it took like 4 or 5 months to get sorted. And then I had to fly back to America, do my biometrics, which is face, fingerprints, stuff like that. Once that was done, I then flew back to Europe to live in Europe full time, and I've been in Europe ever since. And, you know, it's just a funny story of how I got here. I've been asked that a few times. People have asked me what my politics are. You know, I can get into that. I don't want to be a political channel. I have my views. I still think that Nigel Farage is the biggest idiot in the world. You know, I think Boris is whatever. He's funny, but, you know, I'll leave that for another video. Which brings me to the point that my indefinite leave to remain. So after so many years of working for the company, I was able to get indefinite leave to remain, which after 5 years of having a work visa and living in the UK, you can get your indefinite leave to remain. I had to pay something like £1,500 to get it. Now, interesting point was that because I travel so much, at the point of actually applying for your indefinite leave to remain, I had to actually delay it by a couple months, because for a 2-year period, they look at how many times you've been out of the country. And I had been out of the country because I've been traveling so much for, I think it was just too close. So I had to delay it by about 4 months to let the previous 2 years go off, so that way when I submitted my paperwork, it wasn't close, because it was very close for how many days I've been out of the country for business or for pleasure. And so now that I have indefinite leave to remain, I could become a citizen. I'm not going to become a citizen. I'll tell you why. Because Brexit. Because Brexit, I've lost access to the rest of the continent. What benefit do I get by being a citizen of the United Kingdom? I can still come in and out of the country as I want. But because of Brexit, there is no benefit of me becoming a citizen. I still pay taxes in this country. I personally can't see what difference becoming a citizen would give me. Becoming a citizen would have given me the benefit to go live and work anywhere in Europe. So, but unfortunately, I'm just going to remain a person with indefinite leave to remain. When it was time to get my ILR, indefinite leave to remain, that required this Life in Britain test. And the Life in Britain test is about making sure that you've lived in the UK long enough to understand what the culture is like. What is it? What are the people like? So questions that they ask you about Hastings Wall. Do you know about that? One of the questions on there was about what is a traditional Sunday meal that they eat here in the UK. Everybody should know what that is. A Sunday roast, if you didn't know that. And it was funny because I remember taking the test. I took it up in Sheffield, and I remember studying. I had this book, and I like to play poker. And so I was playing poker, and while I was playing poker, I would read the book. And when I'm sitting there playing with all the people at the table at the casino, I would give them the questions. And we would all have a laugh because they wouldn't know it, but I would have to know it, so I was studying for it. You know, you had to know who the suffragettes were, specific people who were suffragettes, you know, and so giving them a test. So I was just practicing for it. So I remember taking the test in Sheffield. It was kind of like a day like today, just kind of gray, overcast day. And I walked into the building. It was like Fort Knox in there. They wouldn't let anything in. Cell phone, nothing. And you had to show up at your exact time. So I show up, and I remember I walked in, I could see people already in there taking the test. And for me, I get there and I answer the questions. I fly through the test in like 2 minutes. I mean, I flew through it so fast. And I just walked out, you know, knowing that I passed. But then I thought to myself, the people that were in there, they were in there when I arrived, and they were in there while I waited in the lobby, and then they were in there after I left. And so they clearly were struggling. But the test wasn't that hard. If you can read English and you got some sense about you, you can pass the test. So maybe I get my passport, maybe I become a citizen. Stay tuned. You'll have to like and subscribe to the channel to find out.